welcome to Half the Battle. You know what I haven't talked about in a long time? Ninjas!
From the late 80s through the 90s, everything ninja, or martial arts in general, became huge. Thanks in no small part to four ninjas of the Teenage Mutant and Turtle variety, whose storyline started in 1988. Hasbro never wanted to pass up the opportunity to jump on a fad, saw all this kung fu fighting, and instead of finding it a little bit frightening, they saw dollar signs. And hey, they had a really popular toy line that already had ninjas in it, so why not expand on that? Enter the Ninja Force, a G.I. Joe sub-team that started in 1992.
And today we'll be taking a look at one member of that original team.
So meet Nunchuk. This figure was released in 1992 with all original body parts. And we're talking really original since Ninja Force toys weren't regular G.I. Joe figures, but they all had a gimmick called Real Ninja Action. In Nunchuk's case, it was the Spring Action Samurai Smash. Hasbro had experience with this kind of gimmick as every WWF wrestling figure had one too, and that line started in 1990. So, does this figure look like a ninja?
Well, yes, but also no.
He's definitely got that ninja vibe, but he also reminds me of a desert trooper because of the head with the cloth attached. Most of the body is green with black camo patterns, making him the only member of Ninja Force to actually resemble somewhat of a soldier. Taking the whole figure into account, this may just be me, but I always thought he looked like a sniper. And I guess that does make him a true ninja because that's something actual ninjas would do.
They were like assassins and intelligence gatherers rather than noble warriors.
Detailing is decent, though he doesn't have much more going on than the camo pattern. I suppose he's got some straps on his front and back that have to be suspenders. They're not to give the illusion of holding a backpack in place because due to the figure's construction that has to accommodate the gimmick, there's no peg hole to plug a backpack into. For accessories, he had a weird looking sword and, of course, a pair of nunchucks. I mean, it would be pretty silly if a character called Nunchuk didn't come with any, right? Right?
That would be so stupid.
Overall, I like this figure and it's my favorite of the Ninja Force line, probably because he looks more like a military guy than any of the others.
Nunchuk would get one more figure in the original line.
Oh dear. Yeah, meet Nunchuk version 2. This figure was released in 1994 with no original body parts. It's a straight repaint of the first as part of the Shadow Ninjas subline. Yeah, a subline Ninja Force got a subline. And he sure is purple, isn't he? Well, most of the time anyway. Piling gimmick upon gimmick in addition to the real ninja action, this figure, like all Shadow Ninjas, has Inviso power. Meaning that if you dipped it in hot water, it turns invisible. Well, not really, just vaguely translucent white. Good enough? This thing looks dumb and I don't like it. Also, as you may have picked up from my very subtle foreshadowing earlier, his accessories came on a weapon tree. Are all translucent pink and don't include a freaking pair of nunchucks. I mean, poor guy, it's literally his name.
That's like having a Batman figure that doesn't come with a bat. Okay, that example doesn't work, but you know what I mean.
Adding insult to insult, he's not even featured on the card art of his own card. It's just Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, with Stormy looking like he's about to attack the actual figure. At first I thought this was just Hasbro being too cheap to create individual art for all Shadow Ninjas, but no, it's right there on the back. I guess they thought these two would make the packaging more appealing or something due to their iconic characters, I don't know. Look, I'm not gonna waste any more time on this thing.
It's bad. Really bad. Let's move on.
And since 1994 was the last year of the original line, it was also the last Nunchuk figure. That is until 2002 when Hasbro rebranded and relaunched the line under the G.I. Joe vs. Cobra title. So meet Nunchuk version 3. This figure was released in 2002 with all original body parts. It's kinda cool and you can sort of see the influences from version 1 with parts of his outfit being green and the camo on his torso.
But I can't help thinking that originally this toy was supposed to be of another character.
I mean, you've got the bare chest, the vague Bruce Lee resemblance. Yeah, I think this was supposed to be Quick Kick in the early stages at least, when they maybe hadn't picked a color scheme yet. It's possible they didn't have the rights to that name anymore at the time, a lot of that was going around, so they rebranded the figure as Nunchuk. He also got a 12-inch figure at the time that makes the resemblance to Quick Kick more obvious. Well, that or Liu Kang. Of note is that in addition to the standard G.I. Joe articulation, he's also got moving hands and feet. I guess they were compensation for the not well received, less articulated G.I. Joe vs. Cobra figures. Now, these are the only toys I have.
There were a few more, but not many though.
There was the aforementioned 12-inch one, and version 4 from 2003 that has a slightly different paint job, making him part of Night Force. The only other 4-inch figure he ever got was in 2016 as a Collectors Club exclusive using the new body construction. It's basically a Storm Shadow redeco with different legs. The only other toy I could find was a 2023 classified figure, which looks pretty nice. All in all, Nunchuk didn't get much love toy-wise. Probably because he was created near the end of the original toy line's life. The first one is my favorite, followed by the third one, with the Shadow Ninja being way more down the ranking. And those were the toys.
Meaning it's time to talk about the character, starting with the file card.
And as a character, he's hard to read. No, I mean that literally, as his first file card has a blazing hot pink background, making it annoying to read. So, who is this mysterious masked Nunchako ninja?
A friend of Storm Shadow from Japan? Or maybe even a family member?
No, he's Ralph Beducci from Brooklyn, New York.
Great, another weeaboo.
Okay, to be fair, there is a Storm Shadow connection. First, he studied under a mysterious blind master in Denver. Okay, this is a clear reference to the comic character who had a dojo in Denver.
The timeline doesn't really match though.
You see, his first figure is from 1992. The Blind Master was killed in issue 91, which came out in 1989. Now, it is true Zartan posed as him for a while afterwards, but he got locked in the freighter in issue 98, so 7 months later or so. Yeah, I can't see when Nunchuk could have trained with either of them.
You know what kinda could have worked?
If they made Tyrone Nunchuk. Except he died in the freighter, so maybe not. Anyway, the card says he moved to San Francisco and enrolled in Storm Shadow's dojo, who was impressed enough to personally train him and made him a part of Ninja Force. He specializes in Nunchaku.
Yeah, no kidding. His name is Nunchuk. He wasn't gonna specialize in pro wrestling.
He also drives the Battle Wagon. Well, he commands it, whatever the hell that means. Yeah, that's cheaper than including a figure with a vehicle, isn't it, Hasbro? The second file card is almost identical, except he's a Shadow Ninja now, and there's no mention of the Battle Wagon. Both cards also have the same quote. You take the 2 on the left, I'll take the other 17. Wow, it's gonna be super awesome to see him in action in the comics then, isn't it?
If I was a Cobra Ninja, my code name would be Foreshadow.
The next 2 cards ditch any mention of Ninja Force, since that wasn't a thing anymore, and instead says he teaches the Joes martial arts techniques to use in hand-to-hand combat. Which, to be fair, doesn't contradict previous stuff, since his military specialty on every card is self-defense instructor. The Collectors Club one just gives you the text from both different cards. Now we come to the comic.
And hey, you're smart. I mean, you watch this show, so of course you're smart.
So, you might have already guessed that I might have been a little underwhelmed by Nunchuk in the comics.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything. Like, at all.
He's barely in it, even when Ninja Force is heavily featured. That must be really good camo, since I could barely find him. He and Ninja Force are introduced in issue 135.
But your bollocks did up good, you did.
Hi, Editing Timmer here. Sorry to interrupt, but I screwed up royally. After putting this episode up on Patreon, one of my patrons pointed out that Nunchuk and Ninja Force made their debut in issue 120, not 135. So that's 15 issues I didn't cover. Fortunately for me, but unfortunately for Nunchuk, he still doesn't do much of anything. We see him participate in like one fight, and later he and the rest of Ninja Force get brainwashed by Firefly. And even brainwashed, he still doesn't do anything until he's unbrainwashed by Snake Eyes. So luckily the rest of the review is still fine. Let's continue. And look, it even says Ninja Force on the cover.
But look what else is on the cover.
Snake Eyes is front and center, with the title being G.I. Joe starring Snake Eyes. So yeah, even though it says Ninja Force, it's focused almost completely on Snake Eyes, and to a lesser extent Scarlet and Storm Shadow. And Snake Eyes didn't even have a Ninja Force figure in their first year. But to be fair, he had one later, and Scarlet and Stormy were also members, so technically there's no lie here. You're seeing Ninja Force, just not the new characters that are a part of the team. All Nunchuk does in the first issue is getting beat up by Snake Eyes in a training session, and he interprets Chabang's hand gestures in one panel because he doesn't speak.
Yeah, we really needed another silent ninja, didn't we? Can't have enough of those.
In other issues featuring the Force of Ninjas, Nunchuk is often not even in the group shots featuring them. He only shows up for a couple of panels at best. The only thing I can confirm him actually doing is in his last appearance in issue 145, where he disarms one of the street thugs who are hassling all the members of Ninja Force who are never getting a main character May that are setting up a free dojo to get kids off the streets.
And that's their goodbye from the series.
They're running a dojo now and never show up in the comic again.
And I know because I checked.
I went through all issues from their first appearance in issue 135 to the last one, 155, just to make sure. I sat through Star Brigade, Transformers Generation 2, and a lot, and I mean a lot, of hideous artwork.
Hey, you know when they should have shown back up but didn't?
When Snake Eyes was attacking Cobra Castle to save Storm Shadow near the very end of the comic. You know, help save their sensei and canonical leader and founder of Ninja Force. But nope, they're just chilling in their dojo. Even Jinx, who was part of Ninja Force in the comic and family to Storm Shadow.
Okay, I'm getting way off track here.
To say the least, Nunchuk was done dirty by the comic, barely featuring at all even compared to the rest of the Ninja Force B-team. And we'll end with the cartoon where it's even worse. He only really appears in one episode, The Sword from the Deke series, doesn't have any lines, and is there for barely 25 seconds.
So yeah, nothing to say there.
In closing, I liked the first figure, so I'm sorry he wasn't featured more in other media. And this strengthens my theory that this Joe vs. Cobra figure was originally meant to be Quick Kick, who did get his fair share of screen time, especially in the cartoon. And that was Nunchuk. We barely knew ye, Ralph.
Well, I'll see you next time, everybody. And hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing?
Hey, Editing Timmer here. I was going through eBay looking for stuff to use, and apparently Nunchuk version 2, the Shadow Ninja one, did in fact get his own card art in a few other territories. Like in France, for example, where he is featured on the front.